So it's really cold in here, so I'm wearing this big ass jacket because it's wintertime in Teachby. So my annual is getting really close to being done. It's been a while, like since the weekend after Thanksgiving. But we've gotten a lot of stuff done and I've learned a lot, so I'm just kind of thankful, I guess, that I own an airplane and get to complain about this kind of stuff. So one of the biggest things that I've changed is I now have new slick magnetos. I talked about this in a previous video, but I was having a lot of trouble hand propping my airplane when it's hot. And I didn't really even know what impulse coupling was before this whole ordeal, but now I know, and I'm never gonna buy an airplane without it again. So here are the old Bendix SF4 magnetos. Hit me up if you want to buy some, but I don't think they're worth that much. But these drive gears are actually worth quite a bit, so I might keep those and sell them. So I bought the whole slick ignition kit, so it actually came with new harnesses and new spark plugs. So I got some shiny new equipment on my engine right now, and that also means that I have to route them. So right now you can just see there's tape on it because I need to order some more Adele clamps, but I'm just gonna put Adele clamps to keep them off of the tubes and keep them from vibrating against stuff that would damage them or keep them away from the exhaust. So I also ended up buying a new piece of the exhaust system, basically. I don't know what to call it, so I think it's called a heater mouth, but people laugh when you say that word, so who knows. But you can see this one's like pretty messed up and looks like it was fixed 10 times and then the fixes were fixed. So time to buy a new one from Univer. So that was pretty expensive. And I didn't buy new wheel bearings, and those are expensive also, but like that's been, along with the magneto ignition system, that's been like the biggest expenses of the annual. So this annual was a really good learning experience for me, and I feel like I got a lot more comfortable and familiar with the Chief. And it's because I didn't bring the Chief to a shop, we just did the annual in my hangar. I happen to know an IA who has owned a Chief for like 15 years, so that's like the perfect person to do my annual. And I was there, you know, for the compression test, and I was there when we like timed the ignition system, and you know, when we had to take the cylinder off, I was there for that and caught the piston as it came out and that kind of stuff, and you know, helped reassemble stuff. Obviously I was supervised for that. It's been good for me, I think. So one thing that I learned, and this is kind of a synthesis of a lot of information from people that I talked to and stuff that I read online, and obviously I'm not a licensed aircraft mechanic, so take what I say with a grain of salt and just add it to your synthesis of information. But apparently the compression test that we do, that like 60 psi over 80 psi like put into the cylinder, is kind of not really a good indication of cylinder health, which I think is really interesting, and it comes from like a long time ago with really antique engines when we didn't have all of the like monitoring capabilities that we have on modern engines. And so basically like the 60 over 80 was kind of the best thing that they had for gauging cylinder health. So basically Teledyne Continental did some research like from I think the early 80s to the late 90s about like how to actually take care of one of their engines and how to actually gauge cylinder health, and like gave that guidance to AMPs who work on Continental motors. So basically when Continental was doing their research, they found that they had an engine that had the compression rings filed down, and it was showing like 40 over 80 for compression, and they compared it with like a nominal like 75 over 80 compression engine, and they found that it was like making the same amount of horsepower basically. So obviously if you don't have piston rings, you're gonna have other problems like, I don't know, probably combustion contaminants like getting into your oil in your case. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. So I will put all of my sources for this information that I've been giving in the video description, but I haven't actually been able to find like published research from Continental, like the actual like summary of the research that they did. So if anybody has the link to that, please let me know, because I like to have stuff like that. Thank you.